Good morning, Ms. Morales. Today I will share with you the presentation I have prepared about a historical figure in the U.S. The historical figure I selected is Eleanor Roosevelt. First, I will talk about who Eleanor Roosevelt was. That includes, of course, her early life. Then I will share some important moments in her life. After that, I will point out her accomplishments and awards, and finally, I will mention her contributions and legacy. So let's start. You may be wondering who Eleanor Roosevelt was. She was a respected activist and author, as well as the First Lady of the United States from 1933 to 1945. Her complete name is Anna Eleanor Roosevelt. Her husband was the President of the United States at that time, President Franklin Roosevelt. Let's learn a little bit about her early childhood and education. She was born in 1884 to a wealthy family in New York City. I read that John Eleanor had a pretty sad childhood. She was very shy and she worried about not fitting in with high society. And to make matters worse, her life took a terrible turn when her parents and one of her brothers died. All that in a span of 3 years. Um, this terrible loss shaped her character and increased her empathy for others facing adversity. As we can imagine, Eleanor Roosevelt was devastated. She had become an orphan at age 10. Well, she went to live with her grandmother. She was educated by tutors until the age of 15. Eventually, she was sent abroad to an all-girls school near London, England. It was there that Roosevelt first started feeling comfortable. She made a lot of friends, and her teachers encouraged her to ask questions and express her opinion. And she was of the opinion that it was unfair that some people should have so much while others had so little. So when she returned to New York, she became a social worker and taught classes to poor children. Um, in this slide, I collected the most important key dates in Eleanor Roosevelt's life. So in 1905, she got married with her distant cousin, Franklin Roosevelt. She became a mother in 1906. She had 6 children in total. So from 1906 to 1933, she concentrated on raising a family while Franklin worked. And one day she discovered her husband's affairs, but the Roosevelts decided to stay married. After that, Eleanor became much more independent of Franklin. That's when she started to get involved with organizations like the League of Women Voters, and she was recognized as a political figure in New York, and that helped her husband to be nominated and elected president in 1933. As her major accomplishment, we can mention that she served as the first chair of the United Nations Commission on Human Rights. So she played a key role in drafting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Later, she chaired the John F. Kennedy Administration Presidential Commission on the Status of Women. And as we can see in the slide, Eleanor received 48 honorary degrees during her life, as well as stamps and coins that were made in her honor to thank her for her humanity work. Some of her contributions to the U.S. were the transformation of the First Lady role. Eleanor redefined the role of First Lady by actively engaging in political and social issues. She wrote a daily newspaper column encouraging women to do what they wanted to do. In addition to that, she contributed to human rights activism because Eleanor was a prominent advocate for human rights, and not only for human rights, but also for women's rights. She was a strong advocate for women's rights and gender equality, as well as diplomatic missions were another contribution that she made. She took a lot of diplomatic missions on behalf of her husband. She traveled promoting peace, understanding, and human rights. And finally, we can mention that she was an author and a speaker, so she contributed with her writings and public speakings. She wrote several books, including her autobiography, which remains a classic. Her speeches and writings continue to inspire people around the world. She died on November 7th, 1962, from a rare bone disorder, but her legacy still remains not only in United States but also around the world because of the huge contribution she carried out in favor of others. Thank you so much for listening, Ms. Morales.